Welcome to Keep Hustling, where we are going past the why to get to the how. I'm your host, the always hustling Aaron Gordon, aka NY Risk Advisor, aka Mr. Keep Hustling. In this podcast, we will be diving deep into the professional and personal successes of our guests to find out how they hustled through the most difficult times in their life and their development to achieve the success they've gotten to today. So buckle up for what hopes to be an amazing ride. Let's get to it. Welcome to Keep Hustling with my guest, Jacob Birn. Jacob, thank you for being in studio today.
Of course. Arlen, thank you for having me.
This is, anytime I get someone in studio, it's awesome because I think the conversations are just better that way. But having you, someone who literally, not only did I hear about your business a couple weeks ago from someone who said that you should be on the podcast, but then I was literally sitting at my table on Friday night having a Sabbath meal with someone who actually uses your business, or I should say, I don't know if it works for you as a consultant of yours or in your business. We're going to get into that. But I was like, okay, this is the stars are aligning here. So
thank you
for being here. But let's take a step back. So you have started one business, you're starting another business and doing things like that. Many people don't have that entrepreneurial bug at a young age.
Okay.
Where does that come from? Where does that just, I'm going to hustle, this is what I want to do, this is how I want things to be? Where does that come from?
Sure. I think it came from like me being in college. I felt like I wasn't really happy and relying on other people for success. I just kind of want to do things my own way and do things myself and find a way to be successful. And in 2022, that kind of all just came into resolution, we'll call it. It all just came into plan.
Most people don't sit in their college dorms and say, this is what I want to do. So meaning, you know what I'm saying? Meaning,
yeah.
A lot of people are saying, this, I want to work, I want to do this. Like you were sitting there saying.
I was sitting there saying, like, I'm done applying for jobs. Applying for jobs in 2022 was a nightmare. No one was hiring. Economy was weirdly inflated at that moment. And I saw an opportunity. And the opportunity is I started a company called Addictive Ads. And it's very simple. I use WhatsApp, which is like a personal communication tool. And in 2020, WhatsApp came out with this thing called Status and was this little, I think, nudge or, I don't know, competitive tool to what Instagram does or Snapchat does or what you see from Facebook now, the little 24-hour temporary post. So WhatsApp started that. And I saw that. I'm like, this is really cool. It's a way to share with friends, or maybe just share thoughts. And in 2022, I somehow came into the idea of like advertising. And I really don't necessarily remember like necessarily how it all came into fruition, the path how I got it. And I was like, let's just pay people to post ads on their status. So I paid 50 of my friends to say, come get paid to post ads on your WhatsApp status. From there, I must have gotten my first 300 people on my WhatsApp status being on the program being paid to post. And by me paying those people to post ads, to say, come get paid to post, a lot of companies saw that. And they're like, this is a different way of marketing in the Jewish world. Because in the Jewish world, before Addictive Ads, there was a few main ways to advertise online. There's Yeshiva World News, the typical agency routes, JCN, to especially hit the more orthodox and let's call it more to the right world of Judaism communities, so Jewish communities. So that's what I did. And these companies, three companies had a lot of success. One company doesn't use me because they did too well. And that's also a problem advertising and hints about later. And two of them still use me today.
So first of all, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Just for scale, how many companies advertise with you today?
So this month, I guess right now is Hanukkah. So between let's call it Thanksgiving and Hanukkah, I would say probably 15 to 20 different companies have run campaigns. And out of those 15 to 20, I think 18 have run at least one campaign with us. The two that let's say ran once were pop-up shops that were in the tri-state area.
So what I find amazing about this, and I want to like deep dive into how an idea becomes reality in a business, is that nobody, okay, I don't want to get sued. I don't want to get sued by Facebook or by Instagram or by anyone like that. But now, in what is the equivalent of status, stories, people advertise and people post. I don't think it was a big thing in 2022. I don't think that influencer marketing was what it is today in 2022. Correct. What's interesting about your business model and about your hustle and why I'm just so fascinated in how you evolved it is A, not influencer. Anybody can do it. Obviously, I understand the model. The more views a person gets, the more they get paid.
Yeah.
But it doesn't need to be a celebrity, meaning a person, and what's fascinating about your business is a person can become an influencer just from the status.
Correct.
Which is insane. Meaning the way that it works in a traditional influencer marketing space is a person is famous, people follow them, then people advertise.
Correct.
But there's a whole business out there of people who, my wife included, just follow these people to see what they're posting advertising-wise. So that's you.
Sure.
That's you.
That's literally what I created. I created a way to get people to bring in their friends on products, I would call it. More of a leveraging of friend circles. Instead of necessarily your wife following someone because they're advertising something, I think it's more of, let's have Chaim from Brooklyn post an ad so his 300 friends view it. And then it's more leveraging that small circles.
It's crowdsourcing versus...
crowdsourcing versus the big-time influencers you see posting on Instagram today. And while those sometimes do work, sometimes I've noticed is that it just feels a little oversaturated. I'm not taking a shot on them right now. I think some influencers are wonderful and they do work, but I have dealt with cases where some influencers just have a large amount of following and it doesn't necessarily work so well. But now back to, I guess, what Addictive Ads did and how I leveraged that. Companies will come to me and say, I need 300 people in Brooklyn to post my pop-up shop, my pop-up wig shop. Can you make that happen? And I would make that happen. I'll send to 300 people. They would all post it, so then all of their friends would see it. And that's the idea.
No one's going to be able to steal your business because it's too good. But
people have tried.
People have tried. Like everything.
No, yeah,
like everything that's
course.
good, right? I mean, the old joke is the most successful people don't find a business that's not in the community and build it. They find the most successful one and just try to do it better.
Yeah.
But I guess what I'm trying to get at is like, so you pay based on how many views a person gets.
Yes.
Not how many people click.
No, not how many people click. It's how many views.
How many views?
And sometimes it can be more than 75, sometimes more than 100. Sometimes a person doesn't even matter. If you have 30 views and you're you're on a certain street in Brooklyn, they'll pay you.
So not related to hustle, because I want to get back to that,
Sure.
but do you find that people's statuses get burnt out? Meaning I'll post a bunch, I'll get views, and then people will just mute me and get tired of seeing my statuses.
Sometimes we have seen that, and for the past 2 days, maybe Addictive Ads followers, right now it's the first day of Hanukkah, we've kind of slowed things down where we haven't had people post so much because we need to keep that refresh. We need to find the happy balance between people still following their friends' statuses and then seeing what's being posted and that's not posted and that's having not too many things posted, so it just means nothing. So there's levels or balance.
Right. You know what I'm saying? Meaning like
fully.
there's the oh my gosh, I open up someone's status and I see the ticker
green.
is very, very small.
Yeah.
Which means that they've posted 1 billion statuses and I'm just going to click through quickly or just mute them. So
Of course.
you haven't gone to other platforms?
Once in a while we'll do Instagram if people ask me. But for now, I feel like WhatsApp views are the most authentic views. On Instagram, you can buy views. You can buy followers. You can buy all this stuff. You can have bots follow you for $50. You can buy 1,000 followers, or even, I'm not sure what the going rate is anymore. On WhatsApp, the way WhatsApp status works is that if you want to see my status, I have to save your number and you have to save my number. So that makes that bot spammy feel of a non-authentic viewer, I guess, that possibility is a little less.
But how do people not feel that? So that dovetails on my previous question. How do people then, because I'm fascinated by this, is you hit the market. It's a great idea. I mean, I believe that my family's doing something Monday, which we might have seen from one of your ads. I don't know if this was your Monday, but we've seen ads of yours.
Okay.
And I can tell which ones are your ads because I know the people who
the people
post
posting,
them,
of course.
And you can see it. And it's not someone who generally posts, whose business is posting ads, right? Someone who has a pop-up shop who sells donuts.
Yeah.
Obviously, their status is going to show donuts. But it's just, I feel like there's a super delicate balance between trying to get people, and this is one of the things that this podcast is all about, is so often people overhustle, they overpush the button, and then you could go around and say, I need to get as many businesses as I can, and I need to reach out to every single person who's ever posted for Addictive Ads ever, and 50 times a day get them to post.
That won't do anything. That would make their status worth nothing. So what I've seen the balance is at most maybe 2-3 a day will be.
So how do you maintain that balance?
Maintain that balance. Say no to clients. That's the first thing you have to learn to say no. That's something that took me a while about how to do. I once had a client and necessarily wasn't the best fit for Addictive Ads. We posted the ad, I realized it, and we worked out something where I was able to give him a refund and maybe do something only commission style. And at the end of the day, he was happy, but that was a learning lesson where it was that I have to find that balance of being able to understand that if I have 6 ads going, I can't accept everyone's money because 6 one-time clients, I'm sure you hear this all the time, 6 one-time clients is worse than 3 recurring clients or 1 even recurring client. So that's how I learned the balance. That's how I learned it right there.
So what I was saying is, but you know that you cannot flood the status market.
Yes, I can't.
And therefore you've capped your income.
I've capped the amount of statuses people can post. Yes, essentially I've capped my income, but if the demand is there, I could say to a company, hey, if you pay a little more, I can try and see what's going on and move you around. So
right, but what I'm saying
I can always
is,
make it more. Yes, but essentially I've capped my income to a certain point per day, or it's just finding more status posters.
Everyone doesn't post the same status.
And not everyone posts the same status. I can have 50 people post 3 statuses and 50 people post a different 3 ads.
So you have to market to 2 different people. You have to market to the advertisers and then the posters who become the employees, effectively, or the consultants.
Whatever. Contractors. It's all a balance that it's so far I feel like deeply ingrained in me that like you're trying to like pull it out of my head.
No, but I know that's what this is about.
This is great.
So that's interesting because really one would think, and this is why I love this. This is why I love the hustle here. You figured out something that's totally unique. You figured out the status thing. Fine. Nobody was doing that. Then you figured out everyone else is the community. It's going to grow authentic views, which I think is spot on. And then one would think pre-2020, pre-2022, every day, obviously, the social thing evolves, the influencer thing evolves. One would think the most important person in Jacob's life are the companies, i.e. the advertisers. But really, the most important, I feel like, and correct me if I'm wrong, the most important people in your business life are actually your posters. Because the more people that you have that can post, the more A, advertisers you can get, and B, the more money you can get from those advertisers because you have a wider reach.
Sure. Yeah, I feel like it's both in different times.
But the point is, the most important people in your business
are the people posting ads.
Who you're paying.
Who I'm paying, exactly. So, they make addictive ads go round.
Right. Okay, but everybody says that on employees, right?
Sure.
My business, if I didn't have the people in the back answering the phone or servicing people, I wouldn't have business. But your business is different.
Essentially, my whole business relies on the fact that I can connect companies to the influencers, to the micro influencers. That is the brick and mortar, I guess, look of my business. Yes.
Have you had companies come to you and say that the micro influence has been more successful than the traditional influence?
Yes.
Does that happen often?
I would say it happens 70 to 80% of the time we do business. It's either they're happy and like, okay, it worked similar, maybe it worked a little more, but then I've had companies are just blown away by the fact that, oh my gosh, we are getting X more amount of hits because we use these micro influencers as opposed to a more media centric status. That's the idea.
And you don't have to answer this.
Okay.
You get paid up front to post the thing, or you get paid you then track the views and get paid based on the views?
So most of the time I'll take payment up front and then I will be honest. I will say, hey, out of the 60 people, somehow 10 didn't post, and then I'll refund the 10, or I'll figure out if they want the 10 posted at a different time.
No, but I'm saying it's not let's say all 60 people post,
yeah,
but they don't get the views.
Oh, they'll get the views. That's never a question. They'll always get the views because WhatsApp status, they'll always I'll make sure they get the views. And
dig it deeper.
Fine, they'll always get the views because let's say if I'm sending 60 people who all have over 100 views, I'll make sure they clear 100 views easy within 8 hours to make sure, because I'm sending to 6 people who I know get 100 views. In WhatsApp stats, you don't see you don't see 25% view swings like you do maybe on YouTube, on TikTok, on Instagram. WhatsApp stats, you see maybe 5 to 10% view swings.
Right, based on the time of day, based on
exactly
who else is on the feed.
Who else on the feed, how many ads you post. But I've learned with the balance of having not too many posts how to maintain that view count. So almost 100% of the time, I don't want to say 100, so 99% of the time when I send an ad to, let's say, Khani from Brooklyn, and I say to Khani, I need you to get 100 views, she'll get 100 views. because
she has nothing to do with it anyway. So
exactly. It doesn't sway like YouTube or Instagram or TikTok. It just doesn't. And that's something that's good about WhatsApp, where that's like it's consistent with the views.
I imagine that most of your posters, I'm calling them posters, is that what you
Sure.
call them? Consultants,
You
whatever.
could call them posters, micro-influencers.
Most of your micro-influencers get to you from word of mouth. Is that correct?
Yes, and word of mouth. I also invest a lot of money in reposting my ad, and I'm always trying new ways to get more posters.
One second to talk about that reposting. Oh,
Sure.
your ad
So
self.
then I pay my micro-influencers to pay the come get paid to post ads on your WhatsApp status on their status.
Got it. So you're your own consumer.
So yeah, I mean, I've learned that actually does better than, let's say, paying a media platform to post it. I've actually learned that if I pay 100 of my people, the come get paid to post ad does better, and that even backs my whole model.
Right.
Which is interesting to think
Right.
about.
It would be a fascinating conversation is if your ads perform better elsewhere, but other people's ads perform better on WhatsApp. Like that would be an interesting thing.
That'd be interesting. But like this even backs it more now. Where it's at. I've tried both models. I've tried advertising my come get paid to post ads on a Florida community chat, and then I paid 50 of my Florida posters to post it, and the 50 Florida posters I got a better dollar per click there than I did with the Florida community. It's so interesting. It just proves it even more.
Do you have people? I
have people everywhere, by the way. You can probably name a Jewish community. I probably have it. I can't tell you how many people exactly I have in Kew Garden Hills, but I can tell you roughly in Queens how many people I have.
I want to get to that in a second
Sure.
about the geography, but how do you get past? First of all, I think I've said this multiple times, and if you're still listening to this podcast, so this will be in a reel, like you got to listen to this episode. This is crazy hustle. This is insane. So literally, I'm sitting at my Friday night table. Mm-hmm. Somebody who will remain nameless, who I mentioned before, their family's eating with our family. Mm-hmm. And my wife strikes up a conversation with her and she starts telling her about addictive ads. And I'm like, this is so crazy. I think this guy's literally coming into my studio next week.
That's great.
But my wife then is like sitting at the table. She's like, I'm doing this. Like it's the Sabbath, but I can't take, like Shabbos, I can't take my phone. But like, I'm doing this. Like, this is free money. Like, it's easy. Like, I literally just go.
You go on, you send a screenshot. We'll talk about that process later.
But what did she do? My wife didn't contact her, did she? I know she did.
I do not.
She didn't. And I'm going to tell you why.
Maybe. I don't remember.
Because she said, I don't want to be the person who ends up having ads on my WhatsApp. So how do you get past that?
Okay, so there are people who are like that. We're like, I don't want to have ads. And
I don't want to be the ad friend. I don't want to be the ad friend.
Of course. And it's almost like giving in. Like that's the example. That's like the motto. I don't want to give into it. I don't want to be the guy who also posts ads. And
even though I know it works, even though it's good and it's easy money.
Even though I know it works, it's easy money, and it's just.
And by the way, I don't get irritated at my friends that post ads.
Yeah,
by the way,
you don't.
No, meaning
I
the point
appreciate
is
it.
what I'm saying. You're welcome. But what I'm saying is, I would like meaning for my wife, me too. But like, I wouldn't do it because I would be worried that people would get upset at me. Yet it doesn't offend me when people post them. Like that's what's interesting about it. Like in fact, I can look at my status. Some of it is addictive ads, some of it is not, and I can like know. Okay, like if right now I'm looking at people's statuses, these 3 or 4 are going to have some ads in them.
Yes.
I still look at them.
Yeah, you still look at them. Means you want to see what they're posting.
Right.
Something you've also learned, and this could be just a little side point, it's also a fun conversation starter. Like I have friends with my community in Forest Hills that they'll post an ad, and they'll say 6 of my friends messaged me that the ad looks good. It's just something fun.
Or I didn't know you started doing this. Like, this is interesting. What is this?
Exactly. And so what was I saying about the fact that some people don't want to give in necessarily or just post? I've just learned to accept that, honestly. It's not worth fighting that because if I fought every single person that said, oh, I don't want to give in or I don't want to start posting because I don't want to be that person, then they don't have to be that person. They're fine. They know what they're missing out on. Sorry to call out your wife there, but
And by the way, I would say I've introduced WhatsApp to a lot of my professional friends who, like you mentioned multiple times, that WhatsApp is somewhat of a Jewish pushed Jewish communal thing.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to get them on. Because I think anyone who doesn't use WhatsApp is an idiot. First of all, that you don't have the iMessage issue where some people have the iPhone, some people don't.
Androids.
You don't have. Right, we're not going to. I said some people. You have to drop the name. Like whatever. I don't like that. We try not to mention that name. It's fine. I'm just kidding.
It's like Voldemort.
Exactly. Like whatever. But you can use it on your computer. Mm-hmm. Like if you don't have a Mac, you can't get iMessage on your computer. Like there's a lot of. I've been told that a lot of people use WhatsApp to communicate with their family international because it's free.
That's a huge thing, yes.
And like I'm not even just talking about like in the Jewish community like Israel. I'm talking about like Africa.
Yeah.
tell me about addictive ads there.
Addictive ads in Africa. Addictive ads.
I'm saying in those
Sure.
in those locales where WhatsApp is used for those purposes, because I find that's got to be amazing.
Yeah. So definitely we've had like for winter breaks and summer breaks, companies come to us say, hey, we're planning like a broad trip that goes from the tri-state area to Morocco, and we want to advertise that to people who might be interested. And it ends up being that the international trips do better when someone has an international audience, we've noticed.
So meaning the locals show up to the trip?
The locals show up to the trip. Some locals show up to the trip, meaning tri-state to Morocco, or like Morocco to Israel, or like those type of European trips. Sometimes locals do show up. And we'll hyper target that audience where it's, if you have family abroad in Europe, you can advertise this ad. It's sometimes in WhatsApp status, I like to say, it's like the weather. It can be very hard to track, but you know something's coming.
I love that.
It's really like the weather where it's like I know there's gonna be a hurricane in 4 days. I can tell you the outcome, but how it gets there necessarily could be somewhat not so easy to track, and that's something I'm learning also.
I have so many questions.
Keep going.
I know we're going. We're having fun. This is two guys with bad ADD, and we're just doing it.
Yeah, I if you couldn't tell, I can't sit still. Also,
I love it. No, we're sitting in the chair. We're doing good. We're good. I thought about a walking studio, but it didn't happen. I assume that you have found that the major influencers are not worth the money that they charge. Is that correct?
Sometimes yes, sometimes no. I'm not gonna say every major influencer isn't worth the money that they charge, but I have seen cases where
I'm saying specifically on WhatsApp. You know, somebody has 10,000 views of their WhatsApp status.
Yeah.
Is it better for you to pay less to 1,000 people that have 100 views, or someone who's going to get 100,000? I don't know if that math was right, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. Is it better to pay one guy a lump sum for all the views, or multiple people?
Because that's how traditional social media influencer marketing works.
Definitely. First of all, I think it depends on the ad. If it's something traceable, if it's a sale, if it's something that's exclusive, if it's something that's hyper targeting this person's audience, then I do think that it could be competitive. But I really do think you could use either. But yeah, I do think that the larger influencer, or the more popular influencer, I guess, media space, it's not going away. It works. So
right, but I also feel like that it's harder for the influencer and the company to break into that.
Hard for the influencer and company to break into
making money off of it. Meaning your average poster. Mm-hmm. No big company that's only doing traditional influencer marketing is interested in them, paying them to post anything, right?
Sure. Yeah.
So therefore, they can't get paid to post. Everyone would love, right?
Yeah.
Who wouldn't love? Okay, people talk about social media celebrities, any of that. Who wouldn't love to post a picture of their breakfast in the morning and get paid for it?
Yeah, I mean, everyone would.
It's nothing. It's like it's silly.
Yeah.
I'm not even talking about personal things and kids. I'm literally saying, for me to post myself drinking this Coke Zero, still looking for Coca-Cola and Coke Zero to sponsor this podcast, by the way, but and get paid for it, and I drink Coke Zero anyway. I'm into that. So you give access to people to achieve this income.
Yeah.
I'm not even talking about celebrity. I'm talking about income from something that they never would have. And the same thing for the companies. My company can't afford to pay the biggest influencer in the world, but I might post an ad on Addictive ads because I assume it's far more affordable.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely think it's an angle worth going. But yeah, it does definitely give that people a different income. Like that's like I think that's the biggest, I guess, attraction to it. Where it's not necessarily what you're posting or the feeling it gives you when you post an ad for Art Scroll, but it's the fact that you're making money. Like that's the big thing.
Have you ever been? You don't have to tell us who. Have you ever been like someone reached out to you to post and you're like, oh my god, this is amazing. Like I've always dreamed of working with said company. Like Art Scroll's a big company. So that's maybe when you just said that, it was like.
Art Scroll is cool. We're doing a campaign now for Meal Mart, and that was very.
I saw that the Instagram one.
That was very cool. The fact that Meal Mart, or a company that's working with Meal Mart, reached out to us, that was unbelievable. A couple other podcasters in the Jewish world have used us to advertise.
I think I just interviewed one of them. We're not going to talk about it, but I think last week I interviewed one of them.
Sure. But yeah, there definitely been like, wow, like that's cool. There've been a lot of them. The World Spa, like, I also like think there are a lot of companies that people just don't know about.
100%.
And then like you see the product and like, wow, it's cool. And then ends up being the poster actually goes themselves. that's something we've seen also, where it's not just the fact that the poster is posting it; it's the fact that it might attract the poster as well.
That's
so
wild.
It's fun. So I'll give you an example. The World Spa. I had trouble convincing. You know what the World Spa is?
No.
The World Spa is a spa in Brooklyn, and they do a kosher men's hour night.
Oh, I've heard about this.
Where it's a men only hour for Orthodox to Schwitz.
I've heard it.
Schwitz, yeah. Or Orthodox sauna, however many pool rooms and steam rooms there are. It's crazy. You have cholent and all the Thursday night eats, but it's actually very clean. So I had a lot of trouble trying to get them as a client, and I said to them for the first round, why don't you just give me X amount of tickets or X amount of passes as like a barter, where I'll advertise.
No cash, just free to go.
No cash, where I'll advertise for you in exchange. Let's say it's X amount. Let's say it's $200 a ticket. I don't even think it's that. Then I'll do a $400 campaign to give me 2 tickets, and then if you're happy, we can start a cash agreement. And they're like, okay, fine. We just want to see if it works. They loved it. I think they advertise with me probably once or even twice a month at this point. Sometimes once a month, and that shows like I really tried to get in, and it's also a great product. Like the World Spas, you would think like Cholent, Kogel, sauna, pool.
Go once, you're going again.
Exactly. Like you think like I don't know what I'm going into. This place gross. You go and it's beautiful. It's gorgeous. That was also something cool. That's one of the stories I like to tell people where it's like, yeah, you have those big companies like Meal Mart and Art Scroll and other podcasters that are there that you see all the time online. And then you have like the little companies like, wow, this is actually a great product. This is fun.
You've mastered the WhatsApp.
Yeah.
Or you're evolving in that. You can't sit still. What's next?
So a problem with me is that I have an idea and then I'll do like 15 minutes of like calculation, like, is this idea worth going into? What can I do to leverage my existing business to make more ideas? And then I'll either do a yes or no, but then I become so stubborn that I don't really I can't take like not success or unsuccess for an answer. So I'm making a new business. It's called Addictive Affiliates. So right now, Addictive Ads, strictly you pay me and then I have people post. Very simple. So affiliates will be a online software where now let's say a shoe company wants to go on.
I wear their shoes.
And wants to sell shoes and wants to sell their shoes. You can go on as an affiliate and sign up, and they'll give you like a code. It could be like Gordon 20, and then for every shoe you sell, they'll give you 20%.
Got it.
So that's the next company I'm building. So it's.
And you obviously have the people who might be interested in it anyway getting the codes because you have the whole
exactly right. You have the
market.
Addictive Ads posters are interested, and then the other side, I have the Addictive Ads businesses that have seen success and stuff that I do, and they might want to try new ventures as well. So that's the idea.
I usually open with this, but we got sidetracked. In the show notes are all of your socials. Everyone's got to follow you. Everyone's got to hit the website. Everyone's got to hit the follows because this is crazy and this is unbelievable. We ask our guests to leave us every episode with their favorite all-time or current motivational, inspirational quote. So I'm going to say now, thank you again for coming into the studio.
Thank you for having me. This was fun.
This is insane. My mind is racing. I'm going to have to, take a nap after whatever. But so anyway, thank you again. The floor is yours. Favorite motivational, inspirational quote. Take us home.
All right. So in February 2022, before I started this, I called my dad and I asked my dad, like, what do you think of this? Like, I'm not really sure. Jobs right now applying for jobs right now really was terrible. I had no success. I've gone to interviews, get turned down, and nothing was working. My dad said, you know what? You have an idea, give it a whirl. And I love that thing, give it a whirl. It wasn't just a give it a whirl, to be reckless. It was like a give it a whirl, be calculated. And he gave me that encouragement to give it a calculated whirl. I like to give it and then put in parentheses calculated because my dad's a very calculated person. He really just tries to not predict and calculate, oh, what am I going to do if I step here? No, he really tries to understand what you're going to do and then makes sense, just do it. It was almost like a was there to lose calculation.
I love that.
So
that is what Keep Hustling is.
And exactly.
I love it. Jacob Birn, thank you for being here.
Thank you. This was fun. This was
a
great podcast.
We're going to do another one.
Okay.
This has been another episode of Keep Hustling. Remember, do well by doing good. And of course, and always, keep hustling. Thanks again.
Thank you.
All right, hustlers, that brings us to the end of another fantastic episode. Thank you for listening. The listeners are the most important part of this show. If you like what you heard, please leave us a review wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts. Your feedback means the world to us and helps us reach more listeners. Plus, be sure to subscribe to our podcast so you never miss an episode. We have some amazing guests and topics lined up for you, and we don't want you to miss out. And finally, if you have any suggestions, comments, or even just want to say hello, please feel free to reach out to us on all social media platforms. We are Keep Hustling Pod on Instagram, X, Facebook, and LinkedIn. We would love to hear from you to continue the conversation. Thanks again for tuning in and supporting our podcast. We truly appreciate each and every one of you. Until next time, stay curious, stay hungry, and keep hustling.